wall toward the beginning and toward the end of class. And so it doesn't matter how much of a wall you have, even if it's kind of like a skinny sliver like I have just right here in the corner, or if you even just have a door that you can close and use that for the first part and the last part of class. Let's go ahead and locate ourselves over there. And we're going to do legs up the wall. So what we do for that is we sit kind of side saddle, so our knees are both off to one side, and then we scoot our glutes pretty close to the wall so that we just have to rest our shoulder down and then swing the legs directly up. Essentially what this prevents is that scooting game when you have to, get closer and closer and closer, and it's just such a difficult game to play. So this sets it up so our hips are already pretty much up to the wall. But note that if your hamstrings are super tight right now, to where if your hips touch the wall, your hips are also lifting off the ground, we don't want that to happen. So we don't want curvature in the low back. Rather, we want our hips and our low back flat on the ground, our glutes against the wall, and the legs up pretty straight. So that means if you can't do all of those cues, what you're going to do is back yourself away from the wall until you can have hips on the ground and legs straight. So sometimes that, essentially, if you think of it like a nice angle, rather than being set up at a 90-degree angle, that would set you up in a little bit more of an obtuse angle, giving you a little bit more space in those hamstrings. And so here, as we're getting started with this position, start to let your breath flow through your body. Really good inhales. Nice, relaxed exhales. The pattern of our breath right now is going to be inhale, inhale, inhale. By that third inhale, you're inflated as much as possible. And then as if somebody let the dam go, it's just a nice exhale, however it flows out. So inhale, 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 exhale, let it go. Take a few more rounds of breath. And at least 3 more cycles. Good. That breath perfectly mimics what our intention is about today, which is releasing control. That's our simple mantra that will carry with us throughout our class. I release control. Now, I'm the type of person that doesn't give over control that easily. I like to, I like to be in charge of situations, simply because I know that when I'm in charge, it'll get done and it'll get done right. And that's my personality. And I know that others can do it just as well, but I have a hard time relinquishing that control and trusting that somebody else can do it and that I don't have to do it all by myself. So to me, that's what this intention means. It's that I can trust others and I don't have to do everything on my own. In fact, that's why we're humans. That's what makes humans special, I think, is partially because we need others and we can rely on others and communicate our needs to others. So that simple mantra, I release control. For me, that breath mimics that release of control because it's like we're inflating ourselves so much and that's all that we can do. And so then from that point, release. Another way that we're releasing control is by taking on different poses and then trying to let gravity take over as much as possible so that we're simply there in the stretch without having to actually do too much effort. So from here, we're going to transform our poses from legs up the wall, the simple version, into a couple of other versions that just feel really nice. The first thing that we're going to do here is start to let each leg open away from one another. So essentially our legs are creating a figure V shape. Now, depending on how much space you have where you're at, that will dictate how wide you can go. And it's okay if it's just like a nice acute figure V shape, that's okay. And it's also great if you have openness in the legs and you have the space on the wall to go super wide here. This one's another way to let gravity take over. This one's starting to get into the inner thighs just a bit more. And if it naturally flows into the body, it feels like it's not too much work, perhaps we can take on that breath a few more rounds. Inhale, inhale, inhale. And then just let the floodgates go. Exhale, let it go. After that exhale, I notice that there's just a natural pause that wants to take place. Let that happen. To me, that's that zone of the release of control. It's that zone where I don't even have to breathe for a little while. Perhaps in that zone of breathlessness, there's possibility for us to learn about ourselves. The spaceless quality. Take one more round of breath in, and out. And then from here, your hands pick up the knees and help the knees swivel wide until you're in a nice cobbler's pose shape with your feet. So the knees are opening wide, the feet are together. It's totally up to you how high up or how far down your feet are. So just finding that simple shape. You can completely keep your hands rested on the ground, or you have this choice to help press the hips open with the effort of the hands. It's whatever feels best, but also feels like you're not putting too much pressure on your body to be in any sort of perfect shape. It's strictly based on what feels the best. Three more relaxing breaths in this pose. And then from here, our hands pick the knees back up, joining the knees together. That means that the feet have to slide up the wall a degree. Depending on how flexible you are, that's going to differ. But feet are flat on the wall, the knees are bent, and from this shape, we can take our right ankle and rest it up onto the left thigh. If that made your hips have to lift up, scoot the left foot higher up. If this is super easy, you have some options, maybe pushing this right knee open, or maybe sliding the left foot further down the wall to increase the steepness of the angle. Again, watch the hips. The moment they're lifting off the ground, that's the moment you're slightly too far. Body resting in this simple hip opener. So gentle on our bodies, so kind. embodying the release, because literally it's just gravity and the wall that are holding our skeleton up into this shape. We'll enjoy 3 more breaths before switching sides. And then gently drop the right foot to the wall. Pick up the left ankle, bringing it up to the right thigh. And gradually help this side to release into this hip opener. Take all the time, all the patience that's required for it. And 3 more breaths from here. After that 3rd breath, release the foot. Start to walk the feet down the wall until you can end up in a nice fetal position off to one side. And take just a couple of breaths here. You'll notice that flow of blood back into the legs. So just enjoy that sensation. Sometimes people get uncomfortable with that sensation, but try to see if you can find the joy in that release. It's almost like we can envision that oxygen became, our blood became oxygen rich because all the blood was pooling down at the heart. And so now is the chance to release the floodgates again so that that oxygen rich blood can just flow straight into those legs. So take 2 or 3 more breaths just to enjoy those sensations through the legs. And take another really good inhale. A nice exhale. And then we'll start to press our way up. Before we completely take ourselves away from the wall, we're going to do just a couple of seated poses with our back sitting up against the wall. So our first one is just a simple cobbler's pose. I'd like us to feel cobbler's pose with our straight spine up against the wall. You're welcome to scoot the feet in as close as feels good or have them further. And notice how little effort is required to sit up since we're able to lean against the wall. We're able to have good posture pretty easily. And because of that, the muscles of the hips are able to release into a really good deep version. And again, it's not from any effort that we've done. It's simply because there is not as much effort. The muscles are not required to keep us lifting tall. So just enjoy this shape for a few more breaths. Gravity and the wall completely supporting us, helping us realize I don't have to be in control of everything. I can feel what it is to be supported. More breaths from this shape. From here, we metamorphose this into staff pose. So the legs are straight out in front of us, and we're trying to keep the spine straight. So if you're not able to be straight with the spine, you're bending the knees until you can get to that spot where the spine can easily be straight up against the wall. That's the spot where the hamstrings are already getting a pretty good stretch. Again, feel the wall support you. And feel how this easy stacked posture helps the breath to deeply flow through the body. Really good deep inhales are possible, and nice long exhales. One last shape here. The legs start to open out to a nice figure V shape. Once again, if you need to have the knees a little bit bent to have the spine straight, that's okay. But we're feeling that support of the wall. So find the legs opening out for whatever space you have right now. Three more really good breaths. Good. After all three, now we make our way back onto the mat. And we start off with a couple of nice cat-cow spines. Let the vertebrae round up. The belly drop down to gaze up. After the slow stretches we've started off with, our spine might be kind of stiff, so take as much time as you need through the whole rotation. And even though you're welcome to add other simple movements, like spine rolls or just wagging your tail instead, whatever's opening up really good things for you. Can you even let the neck be part of this gentle movement? We'll go through about 3 more rounds of breath, whatever cycles you're flowing through. Good. And then from here, take a moment with downward facing dog. Plant the hands, tuck the toes. The hips are starting to lift high. Find a few breaths just pedaling through the knees. From here, the right leg floats up to the sky. And we step the right foot to the outside of the right hand. The back knee can drop down. We'll go through a few different shapes from here. So the first shape is a lizard's pose. So hands are on the inside of that right foot. We're sinking our hips forward, and you're welcome to step on hands, maybe create fists instead, or maybe some of us can drop down to elbows. No competition, it's just if that's available right here. Traveling back up onto hands, we turn the right toes out to the right side, and then we start to drop the left hip down. Sometimes I can get it all the way down. Sometimes I need to drop down to an elbow to rest it all the way down. From here, your right hand is gently pushing that right knee open. Just helping a deep external part of the side of the thigh, that hip area, pulling that open for us. Eventually working our hands back to plant on the mat. From here, the back toes tuck. We lift that back knee up. And then leaving that back leg straight, we simply rotate onto the heel. This brings us into a little side squat. So the right knee is bent, the left leg is straight. You're welcome to simply keep hands planted in front of you. Or if you're wanting a deeper expression, perhaps you're dropping closer and closer down toward the elbows. Maybe they touch all the way down, maybe not today, and that's okay. Trying to feel gravity help you release here. Good. Readjusting back to where we were a moment ago. We come back onto those left toes so that we can drop that left knee down. From here, walk your hands up to the thighs. And then as you start to push down on the thighs, that helps us to lengthen our spine up without too much effort. So it's that pushing to find the lift. From the lift of the spine, now we start to sink the hips forward. Left hand works its way to the outside of the right knee. Hips are still sinking forward. And then this right hand is a slow circle. So the right hand begins to circle forward. As it rises up to the sky, you start to turn your chest open to the side. Even pause here for a moment, reaching directly up. Continue to circle all the way back behind you. See if your gaze can go clear back there. And then as the hand starts to circle back down, we drop the hands back down to the mat. We heel toe this right foot over to the left side. As soon as the foot's all the way over, start to drop the right knee down, pigeon pose. If you ever need to tuck the foot in even deeper to be more gentle on the hip and the knee, that's okay. Coming closer to the 90-degree angle is the deeper version. The back knee scoots as far back as it can go. That helps to lower the pelvis down. And then from here, plant each hand off the edges of the mat. Lower the chest halfway down. This brings us to a bent elbow shape. And then from here, rotate the right shoulder to the center and drop it down. You can gaze up over the left shoulder. Good. Lift back up. And then left shoulder down, gaze up over the right shoulder. Good, once more each side. Right shoulder forward and twisting down. And left. Good, from here, dropping down onto elbows. We find ourselves completely releasing to gravity with as much ability as we have. So if even the head can release onto something, or you can stack your palms in a way that that's possible, try to even release the head. Gradually, we come back up onto the hands. We need to rock onto the right hip. And as we do so, the legs are able to open up nice and wide. Again, have the bent knees if you need to. We're finding a lazy way to help our spine relax and melt up and over. In that complete release, we're able to stretch through the neck and the shoulders, finding a really good deep release. Walking the hands back in, try to lift the spine tall, and then hands help you to rotate over toward the right side for a nice spinal twist. Over toward the left side. Returning forward, pick up the knees, slide the feet into cobbler, whatever version that is today that's the most releasing, and then try to allow that spine to melt up and over once again. Good relaxing inhale, a nice exhale, and then start to rise. Sweep both knees under the body, coming back to a kneeling shape. Enjoy a few cat-cow movements. Any other type of variations that feel helpful, those are welcome as well. Eventually, when you're ready for downward facing dog, tuck the toes, lift the hips, pedal things out. When left leg's ready to float, let it reach all the way up. And eventually step left foot to outside of left hand. As soon as you're there, gently drop the back knee down. Starting off with lizard, we can be on hands, on fists, or even dropping down. Even though this pose is pretty deep, our question is, how much can I release control, even right here? One more breath flowing through the body. We start to make up our way up onto hands. The left toes turn out to the left side. We try dropping onto the right hip. We can even lower to the elbow if needed. And then the left hand is free to gently press that left knee open, helping to get into the outer part of the thigh and hip. another good breath in and out. When we come back onto hands, we gently lift the back knee up, rotate onto that right heel. We're in the low squat. Do we want to keep fists down? Do we want to try to work our elbows closer to the ground? Trying to imagine that gravity is taking over and we're losing the battle. We're just kind of melting down to try to touch the earth. Working our way back up onto hands, we rotate onto those back toes. Drop the right knee down. Hands come up to the thigh, even if that means backing off of the stretch for a little bit. And then hands press into the thigh, help the spine straighten up. And then from that length, we can start to relax the hips forward. The right hand stays at the knee. The left hand begins that slow circle. The left hand forward. Left hand up, pause, and start to feel your torso rotate all the way to that side. Left hand reaching behind you, see if you can gaze over that direction. And then as it starts to drop all the way down, hands go to the floor. Start to heel toe the left foot to the right edge until the knee can rest down. Scoot the back knee backwards. Once again, hands a little bit wider than the mat. Lean partway forward and then rotate the right shoulder down. And left shoulder. Right again. And left. Good work. Find yourself releasing into sleeping pigeon. Maybe there's a way to get the forehead to rest down again. See if that's available today. More breaths flowing through the body deep and full, releasing the control with every exhale. The third one, rock onto the left hip so that we can open our legs back open to the side. This time though, we keep the left foot immediately in front of us so that we can take this right ankle up onto left thigh, similar to what we did at the wall. Now there's a few different ways you can do this shape. You can just keep hands planted behind you as you relax that right knee open. That's the nice, easy way to do it. Just make sure you're not hurting your fists at all. your wrists at all. If you need to make fists, that's okay. Another way is to be more active about pressing the knee open. To get even deeper, you can scoot the left foot closer. That increases the steepness. And only if you're able to scoot it all the way in, practically to touching your glute, then it might be possible to hug around the thigh and the knee, all the way around the shin. So choose the variation that's helpful for you and try to find a quality of release into it. Releasing the control, that we don't have to be in any perfect shape. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to be anyone to be approved and to be accepted. Rather, we're just ourselves, noticing ourselves, being ourselves. Take 2 more good breaths. And then whatever shape you've ended up with, we're going to try to tilt the whole unit all the way over to the left. Try to lengthen the spine and bring yourself into a nice twist from this shape. So perhaps left hand can go to the knee or even left elbow to the knee to help the spine rotate. Good. One last variation. Grab onto this top foot, the right foot, and continue to slide it in, trying to get knees to stack. Now, if this is just not working in the hips, bring it into more of a stacked or more of a cross-legged shape. Whatever version you have, we're going to try to release our spine forward once again. A gentle opportunity to rise, and then we can begin to switch everything out. Right foot goes to the planted position, left ankle's up. Perhaps you're just simply leaning back on your hands. Maybe you're pushing that knee open with the left hand. Maybe sliding the bottom foot in. Or maybe going for the complete hug. How much release is possible in this shape? Taking 2 more deep breaths. And then we try to tilt this unit all the way over to the right. Some people may not get all the way to the ground, so maybe just tilting is enough for you. But if you can easily make it all the way to the ground, then we can set up the twist. The right hand or the right elbow helps to rotate the spine. Beautiful inhale. Relaxing exhale. And then as we start to release, we grab onto that top foot, see if we can cross the ankle a little bit closer, bringing the knees to stack. And from that shape, and again, any other variation that we talked about before is fine, but from this shape, we begin to release our spine up and over. Gently rising up, take your legs into a simple cross-leg shape, simple seated posture. And from here, we take a moment to focus on arms, shoulders, neck. The elbows go into this nice cactus shape. With our inhales, we pull the heart forward and through as the elbows go back. And then exhales, forearms touch. We're rounding through the upper back, helping that go backwards. So inhale, stretch through the pecs. Exhale, stretch through the shoulder blade area. Go nice and slow with the breath, being very easeful in this. Even in these deep inhales and exhales, how much control can I release? Three more. Two. One. Good. Now clasp your hands together. Bring the hands to the back side of the head. And then start to drop the head down, chin going to the chest. The point of the hands being here is to weigh the head down just a little bit more. So it's not pulling the head, rather it's helping gravity do its job even more effectively. Keep the breath flowing. If it's too intense for the neck, you can always let go. And then dropping the hands, let the head take half circles. So rocking from one side to the other. Take it as slow as you need to. Pause if there's any really tight areas today. Good, as that feels really helpful, head starts to rise back up. Let's bring the right hand into a stop sign shape. The left hand pulls back on all the fingers and the thumb. And then turn those fingers down, pull back the other way. As you release, roll this right wrist out a few times. When that feels happy, left hand takes the stop sign, pull back on all fingers and thumb. Fingers go down, pull back. Release, let this wrist roll out. And then we come forward and through onto our hands and our knees one more time, setting up for a toe stretch. Tuck the toes and start to set your weight back. You're welcome to keep hands forward. That makes it so there's less weight on the feet. Or if the feet can handle the deeper part of the stretch, maybe your weight comes all the way up. It can be anywhere in between. We're letting the bottoms of the feet stretch, trying to breathe into it. If it gets too intense at all, you're gonna just simply transfer forward into that kneeling posture again. Try to go 3 more easeful breaths. After the third exhale, we come forward. You can roll the feet and the ankles out. And then tucking the toes again, lift the legs up nice and straight and walk your hands backwards until you're in a nice standing forward fold. The knees don't have to be locked straight. If they're a little bit bent, that's okay. Try to find an easeful quality to this. 2 more deep breaths in and out. Next inhale helps us rise, stretch up, arch back. And hands come down to the heart. Drop your right hand to the right thigh. Circle the left hand up and over. And just pause there in that long side body stretch. Circle back up. Second side. And circle back up. Hands go to the back side of the hips. Hips push forward. We arch the heart up. Maybe the head can rest back, or maybe you keep the chin to the chest. Just a couple more breaths and a nice back bend. A good inhale. Nice exhale. Gently rise. Perhaps coming back to the wall. To use it for balance, we catch our right foot with our right hand behind us. When we've caught that foot, we keep the knees close together. We scoop the tailbone under and forward, and we find ourselves in a really nice quadricep stretch. Take 2 more good breaths. And as we release this side, take the second right away, grabbing onto left foot. If you don't feel the stretch right away, bring the knees close together and then scoop tailbone under and forward. Feel how even in this posture, there's a quality of release. I'm releasing by using the wall. I'm releasing my weight into the foot, almost like I have a root. I'm not even needing to hold myself up. Take another good inhale, a nice exhale. And then here we end full circle with our class. We're coming back up to legs up the wall. For this legs up the wall, once you're there, you can choose any variation that we played with previously. So remember, start to scoot your glutes all the way up to the wall to touch it. Lean your shoulder down and then just swing the legs directly up. You might be happy with the straight leg version. You might like the wide leg version, or maybe even a simple cobbler's pose from here would be what feels best. It's completely your choice. And as we start to head toward the final segment of this class, this beautiful Shavasana, we're going to simply be considering the idea of control in our life. What do I feel like I have to have control over? And how much control do I actually have? Honestly, if you think about it, there's so many factors outside of our control that it makes me question how much control we actually have. For instance, you could think, oh, I have control over my financial situation. But then something like COVID-19 happens and all of a sudden you don't have a job anymore. So many things are outside of our control, and we can stress about these things. We can try to, fight and try to make things right by our own efforts. And sometimes that's the answer, and other times I just need to release my control and realize that I'm supported by the universe. And sometimes the universe strips things away from me to provide me with something better, something that I'm actually wishing for, a deeper kind of happiness and peace and fulfillment. So what if we consider the question, what if the universe is trying to give me the equivalent of $1 billion, and I'm sitting here fighting over $10 right here? What if in our releasing control, that gave space for the universe to give us what we've actually been hoping for? And so can we trust? Can we believe that good things are on the way for us? So simply let yourself consider the concept of control for yourself, and what can we relinquish a little bit of control over? So from here, let's breathe and relax. We've got a few more minutes just to be right here, supported by gravity and the wall. begin to deepen your inhales and your exhales. Introduce little movements back to the fingers and the toes, the wrists, and maybe rolling out the ankles. At some point, bending your knees and walking your feet over into a fetal position shape. And enjoy some extra time here as we get that blood flowing back into the legs. Eventually find yourself pressing into the ground, coming up to a comfortable seated place. And as we join our hands together in front of the heart, consider this perhaps as a mantra for us today. I release control, and I surrender to the flow of love that will heal me. And so with this release of control and this trust to lead us into a marvelous day today, let's wrap up the time we got to share together with the sound of Om. Inhaling now. Om. May we be filled with light and happiness and peace. Namaste.